What's up, homegrown filmmakers? Today we're talking about lists. Alright, so now we're gonna dive into production, and as I'm going through these lists, keep in mind that these lists were created in pre-production. They're literally on the to-do list is to make more lists. But these are the ones that you actually use during production. You have them on set with you. They're just a compilation of all the information that you could possibly need on set. So we're gonna go through those. Also, most of these are pretty standard for just having on set in any production, but some are very particular to projects that we have done. But I'm just going through all the different lists that we have ever used. So this one is something we did for Weeping Willow. On the day that we shot the cornucopia scene, you know, we actually did have 24 kids come out, and they all had to go through costuming, through makeup. They had to have their picture taken so that we could have it for when they died, for the tribute in the sky. It was very particular, like we needed a nice picture in front of a blue screen. So that was part of the process that everyone had to go through. We also needed everyone to sign a contract. This is the spreadsheet that was created, and this was to help us make sure that everyone went through absolutely every one of those stages. Here's everyone's name. Here's what size of coat they would wear, because, you know, they were all just black coats hanging on a rack, so we needed to know, and we had planned out how many of each of them we would have, so we needed to make sure that each person got the right size of coat. These are just notes for some of the specific actors. So they came in, and as they were signing their contract, that would get X'd out when this person signed the contract, when they got their photo, when they got through hair and makeup, and when they were finally all done in costume. So before we left the house, we made sure that everyone went through absolutely everything, kept it all organized, and the most important part of this was that somebody different was doing each one of these. You know, one person was taking their picture and one person was doing their hair and makeup. It wasn't like one person taking each kid through the process. We really had to keep track of who had done what, because it was all over the place. There were like 40 people in our house. There was no way you could just watch and keep track. So once again, the more people you have involved with the project, the more lists, the more information you're gonna need, and, you know, just more organization. The next list I'm gonna show you isn't like really a list per se. It's more like a whole bunch of lists crunched together on the same piece of paper. So this is what's called a call sheet. This is for our short film that will be coming out shortly that we haven't finished yet. Working titles in case of emergency, but I don't think we're gonna keep that title. So basically, this is just all the information you could possibly need while on set. It's got when everyone is supposed to be there in big letters right on the front, when the food is, that's very important. It has some really obscure things on it that you don't hardly ever need, but it's good to have on here, like the nearest hospital if someone were to get hurt. Also the weather, you know, what that's gonna be like for the day, just so, you know, everyone knows. This is sent out to absolutely everyone who's gonna be on set the night before you shoot. So if you're shooting several days in a row, like we were, you would have one for the first day and then another one for the second day that would go out on the night before the second day, so the night of the first day. Kind of crazy. So on here it has, let's see if I can do this, the scenes that we're going to be shooting over the course of the day. So we have the locations, we have how we're all gonna get there, and addresses. Oh, here it is. Here's the scene list for the day. These little numbers are who's gonna be in that scene. So each cast member has their own number, and then down at the bottom there's the key for that. So, you know, each cast has their own number and you can see. And then if often the cast don't have to come, the crew has to come early and the cast doesn't have to come that early, so they often have their own call times. On the back you have crew information. This is everyone who's going to be in the crew and their position. And then just on the back there's notes. information that everyone needs to know. Stuff like it's supposed to rain, so everybody bring rain gear, or we're not providing lunch, so everyone needs to bring their own lunch. Information that absolutely everyone needs to know. There you go, that's a call sheet. Somebody needs to have this on set. Normally it's the producer or the first AD, or you know, both, or the director. I usually have one of these in my binder. Even though as a director I don't really look at this, you know, I'm really focusing on the script and what we're doing next and all that sort of stuff, but I always just take one of those with me. This is called a strip board. So you remember that locations list that we made out when we locked all the locations? It has the scene numbers, it has the brief description. That gets turned into this, which this is shooting order. And all these different colors correspond to different times of day. Yellow is day outside, orange is, I think it's dusk. Green is nighttime outside. If we were going to have an indoor scene during the day, it would be white. And if we were going to have an indoor scene during the night, I believe it would be blue, but don't quote me on that. I'm not quite sure. So this is created by the assistant director or the producer. And it's, again, it's just a compilation of all the information that you previously have gathered in pre-production. You have the location, and there's that scene description, and this means that we're going to move locations. There's another location, we have scene numbers, we have cast members over here, who's going to be in what scene. It's just, again, compiling all the information, helping you keep track of what's coming up next while you're on set. Next up on the production list is one that hopefully all y'all are familiar with, and that is the shot list. If you don't know what this is exactly what it sounds like. It's a list of all the shots you're gonna do. So you develop this in pre-production. The director sits down with the director of photography and they go over the entire script and, you know, list out all the shots. And often the director of photography will go in and add even more technical information, what lens they're going to be using, any other gear that they need, you know, dolly or jib arm or anything like that. So shots are counted with scene numbers and shot letters. So you can have scene 1, shot A, and that'll just be 1A, 1B, 1C, 2A, 2B, and that's how you keep track of which shot you're doing when. I have this on set with me in my binder. I, you know, highlight out each shot that we've done, so if we end up shooting out of the order that we have them listed, we don't forget any shots because I haven't highlighted them yet. It's a really good way to keep track of where you are and what you're doing. The assistant director or whoever is your timekeeper also needs one of these. It's a really great way to judge how much you still have to do in a day, so they can glance at the director's sheet and say, uh-oh, you've only crossed out, you know, like 5 shots and we have 2 hours left. You have, like, you know, 15 more shots. How are you going to get that in 2 hours? And it's really important to be able to know where you are and what you have left to do. Shot lists work great, and for smaller projects you probably don't have to do anything other than a shot list. But if you want to keep track of artistic stuff, what you need is a storyboard. This is the storyboard, so you can see how thick it is. There's a whole bunch of them. These are the storyboards for our short film, which hasn't come out yet. So we took the shot list and I sat down with Josiah and we talked over each shot, and he drew it as I was talking about what I was thinking. So this is very good to have on set. I found it extremely helpful. This is the first time I've had full-blown storyboards on set. But there were several times we were just really pushed for time. The light was going away and we had, like, you know, so many shots left to do. So this really helped me keep track of what I wanted the story to be doing in the midst of all, oh, did we get this shot? And what was this shot supposed to be? And how's it gonna edit together? This really helped make sure that the ideas got through and that we were gonna have a complete film when we got to the end. If you guys want to know anything more about any of these lists, I know I'm kind of just like breezing over them, go ahead and comment and I can do a whole video on like one of the lists if you want to do, or maybe a whole video on a couple different lists that people wanted to know more about. Anyway, if you want to know more, let me know. I can do that. So for most of the production lists, everything's going to be split up into days and what days you're shooting what on. So you're going to have multiple of every one of those lists pretty much. You're going to have shot lists for day 1, shot lists for day 2, you know, call sheet for day 1, call sheet for day 2. So it's important when you're creating those lists that you are thinking of the separate days. Moving on to post. Post-production can also be very, very project dependent. And it's also dependent on who is doing post-production. In the past, it's been literally like 2 people doing post-production, and you really don't need a lot of lists when it's just 2 people. We've also done post-production where it's like 6 or 7 people, and yeah, you're gonna need lists to make sure that nothing is falling through the cracks. So if you're a one-man show when it comes to post-production, maybe you don't need these lists, but I'm gonna go through them anyway because they're good to know. So the first one is from Weeping Willow. This is a VFX shot breakdown list. These are shot numbers. So remember in the shot list we were talking about there's scene 1 shot A, scene 1 shot B, 1A, 1B, 1C. Those designations like stay attached to the shot for the rest of the project. That is what they're named. So when all of the footage gets downloaded to the computer, someone needs to go through and name all of those clips and make sure that they get the right focus. Oh yeah, there we go, right designation. So all of these shots can be labeled, you can list them out. It's not just like some weird camera number, you know, DSC 1008952 to the 9th power. So this was for the visual effects that need to be done for Weeping Willow. There's the shot, name, there's what the VFX is, and for a lot of Weeping Willow it was the pedestals because they weren't there in real life. Philip modeled them and then they were composited in afterwards in the computer. So that was a lot of what the shots were. And also the cornucopia wasn't there. It was Philip modeled it and then the guys composited it in. The rest of this is for keeping track of what, you know, where those shots are in the process. It's a multi-step process and they were splitting it up between 3 different people. So they were doing 3 different tasks. So when someone finished it with one shot, it moved on to the next person, and they just made sure that all of the shots went through the whole process. So even if you don't have multiple people doing visual effects, it's still a really good idea to have a list of all the visual effects that need to be done, because you don't want to have that moment where you finished, you uploaded your film to YouTube, yay, it's public to the world, and oops, I forgot to erase the blue thingy in the background. Oh, that's just, oops. Never mind, let me try again. Another list for post-production is the credits list. Now, we don't ever print these lists out. I printed them out so I can show you guys, but these are Google Docs. So you can have multiple people editing them. You know, that's how they organize this one. These are the credits for Weeping Willow. As you can see, they're kind of long. Basically, it's just listing every single person who helped on the project and figuring out what they're supposed to be called. We got heads of departments up here, and we got cast, we got extras, we got crew. This is everybody who was involved with production. There's more crew, we got our set moms, always have set moms. And then there's also post-production, who did what in there. Also, a lot of times when you're using like royalty-free music, it's royalty-free because you have to give a credit along with it. So that ends up in here. We had several restaurants generously donate a whole meal to us, which was awesome because there's no way we could have fed that many people for that long ourselves. So we make sure and thank them, and also some of our locations. This is sent to everyone, you know, the whole cast and crew, to make sure that their names are all spelled correctly. And then it's put into the film at the end. The credits is something that you can be working on like all the way back in pre-production. As you're filling in all of these spots, you can definitely start to create that spreadsheet and make sure that you're spelling everyone's name correctly. There is some things that you can't really do until after production happened. Plans change, people come on board, you never know. So those definitely can't be completed until you're ready to put them at the end of the film. This is a list also for Weeping Willow. We had different people editing at different times, and they decided how they were gonna split it up, who was gonna edit what scene. So again, it was just important that everyone was on the same page. get it. So nothing was left out and everyone can see what progress is happening. I don't have one of these lists, but same as like the script, we'll have meetings where we'll just watch the edit as it's in process, and we'll come up with a whole bunch of changes that need to happen. We'll give all these notes to the editor, they'll write down a whole list, and then they'll go work on all those different things. It also kind of doubles as a to-do list because those are all the things that you have to do. Same goes for sound. When you're doing all the sound mixing and sound editing, you listen through the whole thing without stopping, writing down things that need to change as you're going through, just creating lists of things that need to be done so you're not forgetting anything important. Last list that I have is a calendar, which is not exactly a list, it's a different way to list days, I guess. So this is just blocking out post-production. This was for countdown. I used colors because colors are dramatic, and it's just kind of like, here, we're getting close to the deadline, guys. We're getting close to the deadline, and here's the deadline, because that was for contest. We did have a hard deadline. We had to be finishing the sound editing and the color correction. And then I put a whole week of just reviewing, which is also just padding time if things take longer than intended. Also for reviewing, and sometimes you just need to take a break. Take a break from working on it so that you can come at it with fresh eyes. That's what that whole week is for. And then I scheduled a whole 2 days for exporting and uploading, because you never know when something's gonna go horribly wrong with your program. It's not gonna export, it's not gonna want to upload. So I always scheduled a little bit more time than it absolutely needs. So, and also those times where you exported it and uploaded it and then you realize you didn't remember to fix one of those things because you didn't put it on the list. Yeah, extra time to change that, export it again, upload it again. It's just a good idea. So that was lists. I'm not sure I covered every single list that we used, but that was a whole lot of them. Hope that was helpful for you guys to see. I hope you're just convinced that you're gonna need lists if you want to get into bigger productions. The more people you have, the more elements you have, longer script, more scenes, more people, you're just gonna need more lists to keep track, because that's a whole lot of information to have rolling around in your head. So I hope you've enjoyed this video and you find it helpful and it was inspiring you to go make some lists. Do it, don't forget anything, and your life will be much easier. So with that, I'm Annie. I hope you guys have a Merry Christmas, and I'll see you next time. Real quick before you click out of this video, I just want to tell you I recently started a Facebook group called Home Grown Filmmakers. It's a group for young homeschool filmmakers to connect with each other, to communicate with each other. We share scripts on there, we get feedback from each other. It's a really great place to get inspired and to just connect with other young people who have similar backgrounds and similar values. So if you'd like to check that out, it's called Home Grown Filmmakers, and I'd love for you to join.